Welcome. I am Kelly. Kelly Higgins is my name. I am the owner and CEO of Elevated Agent. I am so happy everybody is here. What a great turnout, a little unexpected. I have been an agent for 16 years as of this year, and I am so excited to bring all of my knowledge and Lakeisha, all my knowledge and my marketing wisdom to you guys. But really, if you can't do anything in Canva, then what can you do with our products, right? So that is exactly why I am here today, to help you guys really figure out some of the little nuances and tips and tricks that I know in Canva to maybe make some of our templates or whatever you're working on inside of Canva a little bit easier for you guys to deal with. So Elevated Agent, we've been around for about 6 years. Like I said earlier, I've been an agent for 16 years. And my background is really in business development and marketing, and then real estate. So it's been really interesting for us to put all three of those kind of skills together. And that's really where Elevated Agent was built. This is something that comes from my heart, and I want everyone to know this. I built Elevated Agent on the dream of being able to help real estate agents understand that their brand is profitable. If you have a very strong brand, you can make money off of it. But also, I wanted to really bring marketing pieces to the public that were inexpensive and something you owned. I was tired of designers like having a big gate up, okay? And so I wanted to bring down that gate and allow everyone to have access to amazing marketing pieces. The other really important part of Elevated Agent is that it is, I don't know why that happened, I'm sorry. Oh gosh. Oh, sorry guys. It's really important to me that when I design something that I try to take out as many hurdles for you as possible. For example, if you want to farm, we've created a whole farming kit to where it's plug and play. That's what I mean. I don't want any hurdles for you guys from where we've designed to your doorstep. So we're trying to make things as easy as possible, plug and play. That's really what we strive to do. Okay, yes, there will be a recording. It will go up next week. So if you cannot stay on the whole time, that's okay. I think what we will do is break it up into 2 videos. For 10 to 11, it is Canva Basic. And then from 11 to 12, it's going to be Canva Advanced. The things that I'm going to be talking about this morning from 10 to 11 are, I'm going to just kind of show you very quickly around your dashboard. We're going to talk about files and folders and how to share with your team and that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about organization. And then once we get into the templates, we're going to be talking about text spacing, some of the effects you can do with text, positioning, and transparencies, and some of the things for images. Again, feel free to drop anything over in the chat box, and we are going to just get started. I will say the last thing that I want to make sure that I cover is to let you know that I will be working on a paid Canva account. This is not a free Canva account. So if you are working with a free Canva account, you will be seeing things that are only included in paid. So I cannot make everyone happy. So I wanted to show the most in this training, which is on the paid account. So that being said, here we go. We're going to just start sharing my screen. I have a really huge screen, and so I always have to make sure that I'm not sharing my screen, that I'm actually sharing the window. Give me a thumbs up if you can see and hear me okay, so that way I know it is good to get going. I love a little energy. I love input. You guys, since so many of you are new, I love it when you guys interact with me. I love questions. I love hearing if you're having a good time. I like hearing if you are learning something. So feel free to talk back to me. This is not one of those trainings that you fall asleep in, okay? I will probably put my foot in my mouth or say something stupid or stutter, which is funny. So, okay, this is your dashboard. This is what you see when you jump into Canva. One of the things that we will be basically living out of is over here on your left-hand side, you're going to see this menu. This is really where you're going to use or spend most of your time. This menu up here, you're going to rarely use, and really these things over here are going to be rarely used. So we are going to focus over here on the left-hand side. Okay, so your home screen, this is what it'll look like. It'll kind of show you some of your recent designs. If you scroll up here, you can see some of the things that it's telling you might want to try. One thing that I do sometimes use are these little buttons right here. And that is especially if I'm wanting to make a video. You click here, it's going to take you to all of these different videos. If you guys are wanting to make a reel or a TikTok, you'll see those right here. You can click on that. And then it will just open up a really nice blank one for you. I love using their video editor. That's going to be another day. So I'm just letting you know that that is an option in there for you. So if you guys want more training on videos inside of Canva, drop that in the comment box because we are making notes of what you guys want to learn because that's what I want to train. Okay, so back over on the left-hand side, templates. This is going to take you to a special page and it's just going to show you all the templates that Canva offers. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I come in here, I'm like, how the heck do I get out of this screen? None of my menus are the same anymore. The best way to get out of this screen is just come over here and hit this nice Canva button and it's going to take you right back to your regular dashboard. I don't know about you, but I've gotten stuck on that screen. Don't do that. Okay, so now we're going to come back over here. Projects. This is a really important folder because I get asked a lot when people purchase our templates. They'll say, I purchased a template from you, but I cannot find it in my Canva account. I'm going to show you exactly where you're going to find them. If you click on projects, this is what's going to pop up. So it's basically going to show you your things. So we're going to come underneath this title and it says any owner. So here are all the people that are on your team. So if you bought a template for us and you cannot find it, if you go here to this shared with you, you are going to find all of the templates that have been shared with you from other people. So most likely the one that you bought from us is going to pop up right in here. So you can find that if you scroll down, you'll see show more. It'll show you all the things that are shared with you. You're seeing a lot of things in mine because as a agency, we work with so many people's Canvas. So don't be overwhelmed by our dashboard here. So I really want to show you that because that is one question I get asked a lot is where did my templates go? Canva has recently changed this within the last couple of months and it can be pretty confusing. And I have to be honest, I don't love this part of Canva. I also think that they could come a long ways when it comes to being able to organize, but this is what it is. So here is where I like to go when I'm trying to organize anything. If you'll see over here on my left-hand side, you're going to see where it says starred. I have a whole bunch of folders here. These are all folders that I am constantly in. As you'll see, we have one for our newsletter membership. You guys know we make new newsletters all the time. We also have Elevated Social. This is how we organize our content for Elevated Social. As you guys see, we just make folders and we name them that month. Very easy. Here, add a new folder. I'll make one here for, I think we're now working on April, but we'll say April 2023, sorry. April 2023. And then just make sure if you have a team, make sure you're shared it with your team and then continue. And then boom, here's our folder. And now we can save things inside of our folder. As you see though, that's March 2022. I thought I had already made a March 2022, I guess not. Okay, so we're gonna make a March 2023 folder. So now I can save all of my Elevated Social items inside of March 2023. But the question is how do you get these folders over here? So now we're going to go back to our projects. And right here, this is where it says folders. So these are all of the folders that you have. So let's say you want to make sure that all of your headshots are over on this left-hand menu because you use those all the time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open our folder that says headshots and all of our items are saved here. Now, these aren't all me, just by the way. So what we're going to do to make that folder show up over on the left-hand side, we're going to hit that star button and boom, look, there it is on our left-hand side. As soon as I unclick the star, it disappears. I'm reading the comments just to make sure. Okay, I don't see projects. Okay, so now remember, if you don't have a paid Canva account, this might not be showing up. I'm sorry, I haven't been an unpaid Canva account, so I apologize. Sometimes I don't know what's available to unpaid people. So if you go to projects right here, it should be the very top of your menu. And then, so that's where we're going to go. And then it's kind of giving you a summary. This is like your summary page, I would say. So we're going to then, this is the very top of the page where, so we got projects. So here's our projects. And then if you click on here, it'll show you all your folders. So this is the one we just made. If we wanted this one to show up on our side, we're just going to hit that star button. There it is. Okay, guys. All right, good. We're going to move on from that one. The other thing in projects is you can have folders. You can actually see your designs, which is on your main screen. Then you can have your branded templates. That is something I don't use a whole lot, to be honest, if you guys are interested in that. But this is also where it goes to organize all your videos. Okay. So now we are going to head down to brand. I do know that this is premium because it has the crown. So just so you know, this is where you can put all of your brand information together. I love this because you don't have to constantly look up all of your colors. Who is tired of doing that? Or do you have a Post-it note underneath your screen with your colors written down, your little color codes? So this is where you can upload all of your logos. You guys, it is super easy to do this. Let me see if I can just, okay, here is just, so I'm gonna pretend like this is kind of like a logo. You just literally drag it and it is going to upload it. Let's talk about file types right now, okay? So everyone can, I just want to get a thumbs up as long as everyone's with me. If I'm moving too quickly, please let me know, but I'm trying to cover a lot in a little bit of time. So let me know how it is going. In this, you can see this white box around what this says, constant contact, the same. You see this white box. That is because it does not have a transparent background. Okay, so if you were to use this logo over a photo, it's still going to have that white box. Now, as you can see, these do not have that white box. That means I have uploaded these with a transparent background. Now, this one has a white box. So this white box is going to show up on top of a photo. Now, how you do this is you can ask your designer to give you one with a transparent background. Most of the time, they will be uploaded as a PNG, as you can see right here. This one says .png. So if you're going to have a transparent background, you're going to want them to be a PNG. Now, I'm going to write this down, SVG. We're going to talk about different types in the advanced training, so just be prepared for that. Now we're going to scroll down, and all of these are actually automatically saved into a folder automatically for you, and it's called logos, and we'll show you that as soon as we get into the template. Down here are your brand colors. You can pick a brand color by this, or you can type in your own code that you might have from something else, like a designer. If a designer gave you these hex codes, this is where you're going to plug them in. Add your hex code right there. And then as soon as you click off, it adds them into your color palette, okay? And then you can X them out just like that. So this is great because once we get into the template, I'm going to show you where these are available, and you'll be able to see and use them without ever having to look up the codes. I actually had someone call me and they were like, oh my gosh, we need our brand code. So I literally logged into their Canva and I gave them their brand codes without even knowing anything. And there they were. That easy. Love it. Okay, brand fonts. And again, I do know that this is premium. So like I said at the very beginning, I'm teaching premium. Sorry, guys. If you have special brand fonts, that is awesome. You can use them here. I actually kind of need to change this one. So we're just going to show you how to do that. We're just going to pop this one down. I have an uploaded special font, which I love. It's called this Apparel. So I'm actually going to go ahead and make that my regular brand font. That way you guys can see how to do that there. You can also add multiple different brand color palettes too. So that's how you can set up your brand palette. Love it. I love that you can do that on here. You know what, really, that's all we're going to talk about when it comes to the main dashboard for the Canva 101 training. Any questions before we move on to a template? I'm gonna just take a second and check the box here and see if anyone has any additional questions on just the overall dashboard. Hello, everybody doing good? Okay, remember, I love interaction. You guys, if I'm gonna keep a high energy, I need you to keep a high energy too. So join me. All right. Formative so far. Great, thank you, Lakeisha. That was the brand kit, Chrissy. If you just come over here, you hit brand, and it is the first thing that comes up. So you can just really easily, you don't have to overcomplicate anything. You can easily add everything. This is drag and drop, drag your logo here, choose your fonts here, and choose your colors here. Pretty easy. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. No problem, no problem. We're gonna go ahead and move on to a template. Today, we're going to work inside of our brand new March newsletter. No one's ever seen this. Not even on the website yet. So as you know, we do new newsletters every month. This is something that I absolutely love to do because I get to have a little fun with these. If you've noticed, these are a little bit different than my normal templates. They are definitely a lot more fun. I use a lot more silly colors. I use a lot more elements that are just kind of silly. I usually try to lean into whatever holiday is that month. I usually try to maybe lean more into the funner holidays. Like this one's green for St. Patrick's Day. So you can see that. Okay, so let me look at my list here. Okay, so as you can see, we have a lot of different things going on. How do I choose what fonts I like to use? That's a great question because I find that fonts are very hard to pick. But I do think that there are some tips I can give you for picking fonts. I knew this one was going to be a fun piece, so I allowed myself to use some more fun fonts than I normally would. These are not the fonts, these are not the fonts that I would typically pick, only because this one is too skinny. It's a little bit harder to read, and it's just doesn't get very bold. This is actually bolder than it normally is because if your font here, if you click on it, as you will see up here, it does not give me any options other than underline. So that kind of stinks, right? So let me show you what you can do to actually make it bold. So this is bolder than it normally is. This is what it looks like normal, but I didn't like that. That's not bold enough for me. So I just copied and pasted another text right above it for the exact same thing. And as you can see how much thicker it gives it, or it makes it, excuse me. So that is a tip. I liked this one because it felt a little bit more friendly, and that is kind of what I'm going for on the newsletter. This will be recorded. Thank you, Elise. And then I also, like I said earlier, I like to have a little fun. So here on this text, you will see that we used an effect here. We're going to do a drop shadow. That is what makes the green have a little bit more personality. Shadows and the text effects, I really do like to use them sparingly. The one thing that the text effect really can do for a design is it can give it visual interest, which is something I see a lot of people that aren't designers. They don't really think about layering their design. So if you're going to dress up, let's say your bedroom, when you're making your bed, you don't just pull up the flat sheet, right? You have a really nice big fluffy comforter on top. It probably has a duvet cover of some color or pattern on it, right? That goes on top of your sheet. And then you probably make your pillows look nice and you throw on your throw pillows, and you might put a little throw blanket at the bottom of your bed just to make it more luxurious, right? This is the same thing that we're doing with design. we are going to put more layers on our design to make it more visually interesting. When you do that to a bedroom or to a living room, you put curtains up, it makes the room feel more warm. You want to spend more time there. That is exactly how design is. You want people to spend more time on your page. So we are going to create more visual interests. And we do that by doing things like shadows, adding in some special elements. So like if I didn't have that heart, look how boring that would be. Okay, so we want to add in more visual interest to keep people around for a little bit longer. The other thing that I think can sometimes make your design look a little bit more professional or make it look less professional is how you do your spacing on your text. Okay, so when you are wanting something to look a little bit more editorial, you're more likely to do this justified style. And the reason is because if you look at editorial magazines, this is how they are written as well. This is how their style goes. So we automatically associate this with more professional content. So if you want to have your text look like this, then how you do that is you come up to these 3 lines. It's called your alignment. You can do a left justification. You can do centered. You can do a right justification, or this is just an overall justified, which means that your text will go from one edge of the box all the way to the other edge. Sometimes people feel like it makes your spacing funky, and I can agree with that. Sometimes if the text isn't right, it does make it a little funky. But overall, for a newsletter, I really do prefer this rather than say like that. Just my personal preference, but the great thing is when you buy our templates, you can change that. Like if you're like, yeah, I don't like the spacing or that looks weird to me, you can change it to whatever you want. So back to the spacing also is typically the spacing that is normal with the fonts on Canva, I feel like are too wide. And one other thing with the newsletters is I try to put in as much content into a small space as possible. So you really want things to be a little bit more condensed. And how you can do that with spacing is you can move your letters closer together, and you can move your spacing, your line spacing closer together. So to do that is you click on the text, and then you're going to come up here. Remember, this was for our alignment. This is how we can say how we want it justified. And then we're going to come over here with this line that shows up and down. We're going to click on that. That's our spacing. So letter spacing is going to change the space that is in between all of the letters. So if you watch right down here, I'm going to click on this one so that way you guys can see it a little bit better. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, we're going to click on this. So now watch the spacing in between the letters. That makes a really big difference. So if you want something that's a little bit more condensed and like you're trying to make space for other things, you can do this. So like I said earlier, I needed a lot of space in this one because I have a lot of information. So that is why these letters are really close together. Also, so you can see this one is, so right here is the middle. So anything lower than this is moving the letters closer together, and anything higher is moving them further apart. So as you can see, I, again, want it to be condensed. So I'm going to make them pretty close together. Try not to mess everything up here. Okay, any questions on this? So to find these fun elements, this is the fun part. I'm gonna kind of show you this. Now remember, this is paid Canva, okay? So I can pretty much use anything that's in here, but if you have a free Canva, some of these things might not be free for you. So when I'm designing this, I don't typically look for, like I know I want almost everything green. When I start to design, like I knew I wanted green things. So I would come over here to the elements and I would say green heart. And then if you click on graphics here, it'll show you everything. Here is a really good tip. If you do not have the paid Canva, that's okay. You can come up here to this little toggle and you can come down here and you can say free only. So it'll show you all of the free elements. You don't have to worry about looking at any paid ones. Or since I know that this is going to be printed, I don't want any elements that move. Let me see. I might have already. So I don't want any of the like GIFs or anything. So we don't want animated. We're going to just stick with static. Static means that the elements are not going to move. They are not animated. They're not like a video repeating itself, nothing. So then I would literally just scroll down until I find something that I feel like really matches the template well. And sometimes this can take time, guys. I scrolled through so many green elements when I was making this that it's crazy how much time I do spend on this. But I think in the end, it's definitely worth it because it turns out so well, right? And also, I tried a lot of different ones. So if you try something and you're like, oh my gosh, it's really ugly. Let's say like you really like sparkles, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I want it to look like glitter. And then you look at this one and you're like, well, that's stupid. That's not at all what I thought it was. But let's not trash that one yet. So what if we did, say you still want a glittery green heart. So we like this one. So if this is a pro tip. Here we go. If I'm trying to find something and my design is like mucked up like this, but I don't want to mess anything up, this is what I'll do. I'll add a page just real quick. It's white, right? And so now I'll just like slide everything down until I'm done messing with it. And then I'll just delete this page. So I want a glittery heart, but this one's kind of see-through. So what if I put the green underneath it and then I made my glittery heart? So like just getting a little bit creative and trying different things, that is part of the game. And I will tell you, no designer doesn't go through this, okay? I'm not just like sitting here and knowing exactly what to put on my page. So let's say, okay, we kind of are feeling that, but it's still a little bit weird. So what we're going to do now is let's test our transparency. So clearly this is messy, right? Like this just feels not cool. So what I'm going to try to do to make it a little bit more cool is I'm going to come up here to my transparency, which is this checkered, and I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to see what this looks like. So now it's starting to look like less sparkly. I thought it was more like a glitter, but it's really looking more like a splattered paint, which is kind of cool, but it's okay. But what if we made it big, right? Because I'm kind of feeling where we're going. We can make it kind of like an outline, but then what if we did it instead and put it in the back? So now we have this heart with this really cool splattered background. So I want everyone to know that playing with these elements is a huge part of what us designers do. So don't get discouraged if you like played with 20 different green hearts and you still haven't found the one. It's okay. Once you find the one, you will kind of fill it. So here is another example. So here's my white page. So here's another example of what I did. I found this green banner. I think maybe I even said St. Patrick's Day. And so all of these things come up. Look at all these amazing things, right? So cool. So I found this, but I was like, okay, this looks dumb. And when I try to make it real big to go across, like that's way too big, right? That looks stupid. So instead, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make it small and we're just going to copy and paste it. Okay. We have these little ropes on each end. We can connect both of these like this, look, and then they look like the same thing, right? But I don't like this stripe and then this diagonal stripe. That looks weird right next to each other. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to crop it. We're going to crop it to where you can't see this one. You can do that two ways. You can click on it here and come up and say crop. And then, or you can just click on it like this and you can just move this little baby right in. Okay, so now I have a polka dot next to a stripe. That feels a lot better. Feels a lot better. So then we're just going to go like that. We're going to go and take this little puppy out. If you want to scroll in, I have a Mac, so this is going to be a little bit hard for me to tell you, but you're going to hit your control button. So your second button in from your space bar. It's 3 buttons on the left-hand side, the middle one. And use your little mouse scroller. You push that down and use your mouse scroller. It goes in and out. Cool. So now we have these, and I use that all the time. Like I've literally gone through 2 mouses in the last year because my scroll thing got all jacked up because I do it all day. All right, so I'm not going to be a perfectionist about it. But so there's our better banner, right? Now that just looks so much better. So now I still need it bigger though, because it needs to go all the way across the page. So instead of just doing one at a time, we're going to highlight both of them. If you hold down your mouse and you do that, you can highlight just one, highlight both. So I'm going to highlight both, copy and paste. Boom. Now we have even more. And I'm just going to take that to the back. So there's our banner, you guys. We took one element that was too small. We tried to make it bigger, didn't look right. So what did we do? We fixed it. We made it look much better. Drop me some comments. I want to know what people are thinking. Do you guys have questions? Anybody have any questions over that? I've been dropping some bombs, so I'm sure someone somewhere has a question. There's like 100 of you on here. Any questions? So that's how we made the banner. Over here, again, if you guys don't have the paid Canva, you'll see where it says Pro, so you'll know what you can and can't use. The monthly maintenance, this is something that we do every month. We just, again, pretty much copy and paste this. Let me think. Okay, we did the same thing down here that we did with the banner. See, we have 3 different elements of the fence. There we go. You can see them like that. This back here, this is okay, this is a great one to really work in on. Let me add a page, that way we can break it down here. I'm actually just going to copy and paste the whole thing, so that way you guys can see how it works. So this is the little bottom of this page. I wanted a really great way to show you guys, to show off some of your testimonies. So that is how I came up with this. There is a lot of different elements on this one thing. The reason why it looks so visually appealing is because the people kind of stand off the page. There is a design element in the back, even though it's faded, it still kind of gives you that St. Patrick's Day. Whitney, do we get access to the monthly newsletter with the 5-month plan? Yes, with the newsletter membership, you get the 8.5 by 11 newsletter. You'll get a newsletter to email, and you get a newsletter to put in your stories, all for $5. If you purchase them individually, they're $5 each. So you save $10 by signing up for the membership. Okay, so how we did this, we are going to just strip, we're going to go from forward to backwards. So I like putting fun elements in our newsletters. These are not things that you would typically see in my normal designs because I think that they're a little kiddish. But I like that on the newsletter. I think this is a really great opportunity to have a little fun and show your personality. So I felt like this was a little bit blank right here. Oops, excuse me. So that's why I went ahead and just kind of added that just for a little color and a little flair. If when you get this, you feel like you need more space than just that to put your testimony, you can always make this bigger for a bigger testimony. Okay, so there's those elements. So now the other element is we have their family name. Okay, that also has an effect to make it stand off the green. I'm going to change that effect. I'm going to turn it off so that way you guys can see the difference in between the names. See how this one just kind of stands out a little bit more than that one? Let me zoom in a little bit. You can just see a little bit of a shadow on that compared. I just like that a little bit more. Just a little bit more interesting. Okay. So now we have a box. We have just a rectangle. You can create this by hitting the R on your keyboard. One will pop right up. This is just a normal rectangle square. You can do whatever you want with it. Let me show you a few tips about this. So you will see, here is our other rectangle. I'm going to just clear that one. And here's another rectangle. So I basically have 2 rectangles on top of each other. The difference is this rectangle clearly is a different color. But how I did that is I came up here. This is how you change your color. But if you click on this 3 little lines, it's going to give you an option for border weight. I have a border on this one, and that is why it has the black outside. Now, if you want a square that is just the black outside and no color on the inside, you can still do that. You select your square, you come up to the color, you are going to select this checkered box with a line through it. That means there is no background. So now I have a transparent box with a black line. As you can see, you can still see everything behind it. Now, this is a very important step. A lot of people get messed up on this because it doesn't seem right in your head. However, if you think about it from the perspective of layering, it'll make a lot more sense. This black box is on top of everything in this design. So if I had this black box, let's say just outlining this design like this, that looks cool, right? If you try to click, oh, now it's not going to do it. If you try to click on these people, I can't click on them. Why are they not clickable? I can't get to them. It's because this black box, even though you can see through it, it's technically on top of this picture. So if I move this black box, now I can select the people in the picture. How you can fix that is you can move the black box if you want, or you can send it backwards. So we're going to send it backwards until these people are clickable. Still not. Now they are. So I know that is very confusing, but always just think about it as layers, okay? We are making layers with all of these different elements. Okay, so that was that box. So now I'm still kind of deconstructing this one part. So here's a whole nother element. So now we have this for the 4-leaf clover, and then we have this also. So there's two different elements right there, okay? Then we also just have our normal text, this one up here with our Smith family. It's white, so I'm leaving it right there. Okay, so then we have another layer. What is this? This is a shadow. I'm going to talk more about the shadows inside of Canva Advanced, but I add this here. So that way the text box behind the box almost looks a little bit 3D now. It kind of stands off the page just a little bit, okay? So there's a whole nother element. So now we have our people. Here are our people. How I have them standing off the page a little bit is another shadow. Here is another shadow. These are a little bit scary. Look how scary that looks. When you put that on the page, you're probably thinking, what the heck am I going to do with that? Yes, thank you, Elise. Like you put that on your screen, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that looks awful. What am I going to do with that? Okay, we're going to layer it. We're layering it behind things. So you're not going to see that big black square, or excuse me, circle, because we're putting things on top of it. So the other thing is this one is actually not 100% transparency. I have that one down to 71. If I put it all the way up, it's a lot darker. So if something is overbearing, like that's way too much, right? So no problem. We're just going to mess with the transparency until, oh, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. We're going to mess with the transparency until it is to a place where we feel comfortable with it. So we don't want the shadow to be distracting. We just want it to feel natural. And so that's what we're doing. Okay. Any questions on some of that? Okay, so their pictures is another element, and here is our shadow. That's another element. The last element is the background image. This is just a basic image. You can look it up here. 4-leaf clover. So these are all graphics. We don't really want a graphic, we want a background image. So if you go over to photo, you will find a whole bunch of these types of photos. Okay, but the question is, how do I get it to look like this? Again, we're going to mess with our transparency. If it was 100%, look how dark that would be. That is crazy. Okay, that is way too dark. It's going to be extremely distracting for our reader. So we don't want it like that. We just want a little taste of it, right? So that is how you can change that. Now, another way that I like to do this, if maybe you're wanting to go for the more moody vibe instead of like the light, carefree spring vibe, is I would then put a box over the top of this. This is probably way too much, but I'm gonna show you anyways. Make it black. Then you're like, what the heck? We're gonna take down the transparency here. And so now we have a moodier vibe, but we don't want everything behind this box. We're actually gonna send it backwards, and then we're just gonna move it in front of that background image. So now if you wanted a more of a moody look instead of this light look, you could definitely do that. And you can even still move your shadows and everything up like that. Totally different vibe, but same outcome. Okay, any questions over any of that? I think sometimes people get a little bit nervous when adding additional elements, but remember, it's like decorating a room. Just a little bit extra can really add these visual interests. Questions? The layering gives me anxiety. Yes, this is absolutely something that you'll have to play with and get used to, but it's really fun. Look at this one. Another thing that people don't think about doing is putting elements off to the side. I just joined. How do you add a layer to the background of the picture? Add a layer to the background of the picture. Can you explain that a little bit more? Do you mean this black box? Because this is the 4-leaf clover is a picture, and then I added a rectangle and I made it black, and then I just dimmed the transparency of this black box. It's really all it is a black rectangle that then I made a little bit transparent. Moved the shadow behind the couple, then moved the couple. Sorry, Brittany is direct messaging me. She says, the question is, how do you add a layer to the background of the picture? So everything is just either in front or behind the other thing. That's why it's important to kind of always know your position. So I know for a fact that this should be in the very back. Okay, so we want to make sure that this 4-leaf clover is in the very back. Then after the 4-leaf clover is this black box, because we want it on top of our background image. Okay, and then we'll want our people shadow, which is this. So then we're going to add that on top, and then we're just going to drag our people on top of the shadow. So I think that's what you're asking. We'll talk more about shadows in 102. I'll show you how to find them and all of that good stuff. So over here, having these graphics off of the page can kind of create some visual interest too. A lot of times you're going to want to find a spray bottle and put the whole spray bottle on there, but think outside of the box. I think the big spray bottle is very eye-catching. You know, the original is very small. Let me see if I can find it. I think I just searched cleaning. Okay, and so then we went to graphics. See if I can find the same spray bottle so you can see the size. And so like this one's moving, so that one would be animated. You probably wouldn't want that on something that you're going to print. I liked the blue. The reason why I picked the blue over something else is because I felt like it did kind of go with the overall vibe of the newsletter. So that is why I picked it. I kind of like these little sparkly things because that's what a lot of people would associate cleaning with. I'm not going to dig too much further. I'm just going to go a little bit longer. So all of these are just really cool options that you could pick to put into your newsletter or your template. You have all of these options. Super cool. Okay, I'm just going to pick one. And now they've all disappeared. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I even think it was smaller than that. But a lot of people would probably just want whatever size it gives it to you. You tend to feel like that's the only size that will work. Well, not true. Make it big, make it stand out. You can even, like this one, I even tilted. So that way it was kind of like spraying onto the words. And then I didn't have this at first, and I felt like there was something needed here. I wanted a little color here and a little color on that side, and the rest can be white, super fine. The other thing that I think yes, thank you. The other thing that I think is important to note when looking at making something like this is you'll notice I rarely have a background a color. So sometimes you'll see some people with like a gray background like this. Like that's kind of nice, right? And that's nice too. But I know that most of the time you guys are printing these, like at your office. So I try not to make the whole background a color because that is going to use up so much ink, but then also it never seems to print right. So that is one reason why we don't do that. All right, so the last 15 minutes, I am going to kind of wait for the comment section and let you guys ask me some of the questions that we covered, but I'm also going to share with you how to share with your team and how to correctly download for the type of product that you're using. So this would be a item that I would probably print off on my office computer. So most likely I want to download it as a PDF. So I'm going to come up over here to share, and then I'm going to come here to download. So now this is where it gives you all your amazing options. Most of the time, you're probably going to want to hit PDF for print. If you are emailing, like it says right here, this is probably where you're going to want. If you want to print this on a printer, if you want to send it to a printer, print it at your office, whatever, this is how you're going to want to do it. PDF print, and then you're going to come here, color profile. So this says best for digital use. So if you're going to be using it somewhere online, use that. But if you're going to print it, click this. CMYK, best for professional printing. Okay, and then you're going to download it. Just note that this is going to make it a pretty large file. Okay, so if we're going to do that, no problem. We're going to download just like that. Now, to make sure it is sharing with your team, here's your name, here is who made it, and then here's how you're going to share it with your team. If it's not shared with the team, it's going, I guess I can't do that, but it will look like this. It'll say not shared with the I and a line through it. Joyce, I will talk to that in just a second. And then if you want to send it to someone to edit, you're going to want to do your copy link. Now, if you want to send it to someone and you don't want them to edit yours, but you want to send them, you can also do that by sending them a template link. The template link will allow them to not make any changes to yours. Okay, so that's very important. Now we have our item downloaded. I'm going to pop it open so that way you can just see what it would look like downloaded. So this is what it would look like once on your computer. Then you could just go straight to your printer here and print just like this, or you can send it to a professional printer of your choice. Looks great. Okay, so now let's say you don't want to download it and print it. Let's say you want to, let's see, I saw someone say email, Joyce. Okay, our emails, we have kind of two different emails, so this can get a little bit confusing. So the last one is designed as an 8.5 by 11. As you can see here, if you go to resize, it shows you right here what size this is. So this is for paper. So yes, you would want to print this one. You probably would not want to email this because you're going to have to email it as an attachment. If you are wanting to email it as an image and you want your image to go inside, that is why we take this for you and we resize it already for you in a way that you can then download as an image and not a PDF. And then you can insert this into your email as an image and send this instead of this big 8.5 by 11. We also like to break it out into blocks. This is what I would call a block. I like to break it out into blocks because if you were to want to make this clickable, this could go to a different place than this. Like if you wanted people to be able to click on these reviews and see them on Zillow, you could put a little box here that says click here to see more, and it could take them to your Zillow account. If you wanted this to not be a QR code and you wanted it to be a button that said get your home value now, click here, you could then make this a link to your email. So to download these, Amanda, you can look on whatever email provider that you use and they will tell you what is the optimal size for that platform. I tend to stick to 800 pixels by 200. So it's 200 tall, 800 wide. That tends to be a pretty solid number. You can do 600 by 200. Sometimes those get a little pixelated. If you feel like your image is pixelated when you upload it, well, let me show you how to download it real quick. If you go to download, okay, this time instead of doing PDF, because we're not printing, we're going to use them online, we're going to do a PNG. Now, JPEG is going to be your lowest size of file. So if you want something to be blurry and not legible, you're going to go JPEG. But we don't want that. We want crisp, beautiful images, right? We don't want anything pixelated, blurry, nothing. So we're going to go with PNG. And to make it a really nice, crisp image, we're going to increase the size, okay? Right here, you can go as big as this. This is going to be your most beautiful, biggest size, or lower. If you are having a problem with your images being blurry when you upload them, it's because your image quality is not high enough. So when you go to download, this is what you want to make higher if your images are blurry, okay? But be aware that this also makes images a lot bigger in size. Okay, so sometimes that is also an issue, but if your images are blurry, this is what you're wanting to mess with, okay? I typically can download in their preferred size and it's fine. So whatever, like I think usually it is right here in the middle, and it's fine. Here is a tip. This is where a lot of people get this is where a lot of people get caught up, is they want to just download one of these images, right? They don't want every single image. So when you do this, if you go to this button here, you can then select whatever image you want to download. So I don't want all the pages. I want just that one first header image. So we just want this one right here. So that is also the current page. So then we're just going to go to download. Christy, I use stock people for my things, unless it's me, just because I never want anyone to feel weird. And then we have our image. It opened, but I don't think you can see it since it didn't open in the thing. But it opens just like as a normal image. Now, if you're downloading onto your phone, you're always going to want to download as PNG. Okay, last 5 minutes. I would love to give opportunities for people to ask questions. I'm gonna take a break. I mean, a drink break. Let's see, we covered everything I had on my list, so that's great. Is there anything that anybody on this call has ran into that you're like, I cannot figure out how to fix this, or I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong, or I didn't catch how you did this, like anything on here? Okay, for the newsletter, for the printing, I would probably print them myself. Because typically your office allows you so many copies. And they usually, I'll be honest, usually your office has a pretty fair price for color copies. Getting them printed professionally could be expensive, but if you have that budget, go for it. If you don't have the budget for the printing, but you still love the idea of a newsletter, that is why our email newsletter is so popular. We also make them in sizes for stories, and instead of the static images or still photos, a lot of times we'll add in videos and stuff like that. Custom gift design, not sure this. Yeah, Cassie, we're probably not going to cover gifts today because this is okay. So if you are on a free account and you're trying to download something that's making you pay, this is probably something, this is a comment I get a lot. To switch out the element or the image that is a pro, when you go to download, it will tell you on this page whatever element or photo it is that is pro. So all you're going to want to do is find that image and switch it out. It can be a pretty easy switch. So don't allow that to frustrate you, because you can literally switch it out in just a few minutes. I showed you earlier how to toggle your elements to show you. I'll do it again. Come over to elements. We're going to go back to cleaning. And if you go to these 3 toggles here, come down to free, it'll show you all of the free items instead of pro items.